Okay, so we're going to start with two different pieces of paper just so you can experiment on them. There's a 2.5 by 2.5 and then a 2.5 by 3.5. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line on one side. Okay, and this is not a really fancy or complicated line. This one is just like a jagged line, okay, or a zigzag line. And so I'm going to cut this one out. And I'm going to try and stay on my line, but if I don't, it's not going to hurt it because this is going to puzzle piece back into where it came out of. Okay, so you can see that this piece was right here. So now for a translation one where you would just slide this. So I would slide this one down from the top down to the bottom. Okay, and you can see that I've cut corner to corner. You don't have to. You could cut just a little bit inside here, but I feel like it's better if you draw a little bit of a line, like even if you don't want very much and then you do a lot, because I feel like this makes it look less square, less boxy when you have something like on there that does go from the corner to the top. Okay, so I'm going to tape this on. Okay, so that one's stuck together. Now I'm going to cut from this side. You could cut over here. It's up to you. But I'm cutting on this side, and then I'm going to slide it over. And I like to, when I'm done with the scissors, stop and then just rotate it and then keep cutting. Okay, so that came from here and I'm sliding that up. So I would slide this direction and put this at the top. Okay, so I'm making like this puzzle piece that fits together. It's like one side completes the other side. And so for me, for this one, you're going to kind of look at this and think, okay, what do I see, right? The beginning of these is all experimentation. Like you have to try it. You can't just like think of this in your head. You've got to try a line and see what it looks like. And so you're going to rotate and kind of think like, do I see a fin? Do I see a beak? Do I see ears? What do I see? And so for me, on this one, then I made this one, I saw like a dragon. Like I turned like this part into like a horn, gave him like kind of a jaw, gave him some spikes, that kind of thing. Okay, but it's nothing that has lots of detail to it. They're just lines, right? So for me, that's what I saw on this one. Okay, so another one, and I guess I should show you the way that these connect. Where you would put this on the piece of paper, you would trace. Okay, and then it would slide over. Okay, and then, which is the translation one, you would be able to trace it again. So if this was what you wanted to do for your final and you liked it, then you would need to at least show me two of them that were drawn in the opposite colors that you wanted to use and show me the detail. And then I could give you a piece of cardstock. So then this other one would go down here at the bottom. Okay, so you can see how that all like fits together. And we would even draw like the edge over here. Like I would want you to put this over here and draw the little line over here because that's part of him. He just is running off the page. Okay, so that is one type, right? Translation. Another type is rotation. And so you would need to do this with a square piece of paper because you're rotating it. So instead of having the opposite sides like attaching, you would having to rotate it to the side that is next to it, either to the left or to the right. Okay, and so I have a line here that I'm going to cut, and I like to have even this tiny little sliver because I feel like it makes it look less boxy if I'm using all of the shape. So same thing, rotate and then cut. So I have this piece right here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Cut this out. And go all the way to the corner. Okay, so I have these. And so these are my shapes. So instead of moving this over here and this one over here, because I would get this shape, which, ooh, I kind of see an angelfish with that, right? You see it? We're like looking at clouds, the same thing, but I kind of see like a tail and kind of a fancy fin. So you could do that, but you could also rotate this one and put this up here and then go this way and rotate it. And for me, on this one, like I see a bird. Right, do you see that? Like his little beak, the drawn eye, his wing, his tail. Okay, so it's interesting to be able to do that. Like a rotational one does give you some options on if you don't like where something is placed on that translation one, you can change it. Okay, so I could do like the lines that I wanted here. Maybe I wanted the same kind of thing on here. Give him a little eye, a little beak, right? And maybe I'd want his wing to come this way. But this is where you want to like experiment and see how can I draw this. If you don't like it, then you can say, okay, what part do I not like? Maybe I wish that this part went like curved a little bit more here. So you kind of have to think about that as you're doing this. How would I, since this is rotated over here, how would I redraw this piece to make it look like this piece is stuck over here now? You see what I mean? So it's kind of up to you on how you do it, but you have to start somewhere. Like you have to draw some lines and give it a try. So this one, I guess maybe I should tape this and show you how this works, because this one can be a little complicated when you trace this on a piece of paper, like figuring out where everything lines up. And it is kind of neat to look at this because these, since you rotated the shape, the bird rotates. Oops. Okay, so this would rotate and you're looking like, where do I see this part? And so that's like right here. Okay, so you can see him that direction as well, and you keep looking for that shape and you keep tracing that shape in there. But this is kind of a neat way to do this. So, and then you're like, okay, where do I see this part? How do I fit him in? Where does he touch? And it can be a little confusing. So you see his tail fits in right here. Okay, so you can see how that would continue to work. You would be drawing the same thing on every single one. And so I would, if this was me, I would be looking up a picture of a bird or just typing in bird into Google and looking at it, so then I can decide, what do I really want this wing to look like? Where do I want it to start? Where do I want it to stop? I want to show little feet, that kind of thing. Okay, so then you can actually get a good reference on what this would look like. Okay, so that is one. The other one would be, I'm going to use a rectangle on this one. And so I have a line drawn, just this curvy line right here that I'm going to cut from one corner to the other. Okay, so this one would be a translation. This would slide over. Okay, and I would attach it over here. And then I drew another one on this side. This one I went ahead and connected to the top and kind of rounded this out for his face. Yeah, not quite on the line, but it won't matter. Okay, so then I have this piece. Now instead of moving this up here and sliding this up, I'm going to like flip this over. Okay, so I'm going to have it go this direction. And so by flipping it, you are putting this piece back here. And you would be thinking, okay, what do I see? But what this does by flipping it is you would trace this. Let me just draw 3. This can be kind of hard to figure out where do you line this up. If you need to, you can always like draw yourself like this line of the paper. Okay, so then you would know that you need to line that up right here, that little hash mark. Okay, so this is the same way because I just did a translation, like I just slid it over from here to here, but this doesn't fit anymore this direction, right? So I would need to like flip this to get this to work. So if you were doing an animal, then he would go from, he would be looking one direction and then looking the other direction. Ooh, I was a little off on that one. You see that? I was a little tilted. That's probably from this one. Okay. That looks better. And then keep that the same way and do the same thing. Okay, so this would flip and then move over. So he's looking, I guess I see this as like some type of maybe animal, I don't know. Like where you would see his eye over here. Yeah, something that, I mean, for me, like this little like loop. So, maybe he could be, I would have to look at a picture probably of a ram to kind of give myself some more ideas about that. But he would look this direction, then he would flip and then look the other direction. So that's another way to do that. This would work on the square or the rectangle, but when you're doing something that's rotational, you're going to have to use a square. Okay,